Day 90 and over 60 pounds lost. It's been wild. I never imagined when I started this carnivore journey at how fast things would change. They changed physically, mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually too. But here's the shock. Instead of celebrations and high fives, I got concerns, wondering if I was sick. What have I done? Was I losing way too much weight, way too fast? But the thing is, when I was gorging myself on sweets, when I would eat way too much at a Mexican restaurant, when I would sit there and eat an entire bucket of popcorn, eating breads and soups and desserts and getting all fat and sassy, no one had anything to say. But now that I was getting my health in check, people started to worry. Welcome back to Goforth&Carnivore. I'm Jordan, and I'm here to share with you my real life and real results, sharing my life along the journey of the carnivore diet and the changes that come along with it. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, see what's happening next and what's going on in my life right now. Let's dive into my 90-day results and talk about how I lost over 60 pounds in these first 90 days. If we go back to day one, Jordan at 370 pounds with gout issues, irritable bowel syndrome, high blood pressure, sleep apnea, horrible cholesterol, eczema, and other chronic illnesses. It was a miserable Jordan. I had a fantastic life, but internally I was aching and looking for a way out. And through the carnivore lifestyle, through the carnivore diet, I've been able to find freedom by just relying on animal products. And into my 30 days, I decided to take things very strict, where I was having beef, salt, water, and some butter. I started hitting the gym. I started to change things, and I was able to see all of these horrible chronic illnesses that I was struggling with start to reverse. And I was able to see a new version of myself. And ending in day 90 days in, I was able to lose 64 pounds. Guys, 64 pounds. That is insane. Even looking back, when I have lost so much more than that, I am blown away that I was able to battle obesity and start to have some wins. 64 pounds is no small feat. I am proud of that. I know there are so many that probably have lost so much more in those first 90 days, but I, Jordan Goforth, was able to tackle 64 pounds. And I want to talk with you more about that. So, continuing from 60 days to 90 days, I did continue to do the beef, salt, water, and butter. I did more so of the BBBE, the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, just very small amounts to help acclimate more things in, because I was trying to do some elimination to see where some inflammation was coming from, because there were still some weird random gout flare-ups that I really needed to figure out what was going on. And so I did start incorporating some bacon and eggs into things, continuing to go to the gym. I was able to run, or I won't say run, exercise on an elliptical for 1.5 miles without stopping or without going slower than a jog. I was able to keep up with the pace because I was getting active. I was moving again. I was finding life within my own body. That might sound strange to you, but for me, I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience where I felt this young man at heart, but this old, aching, obese body on the outside. And I needed to change that. And that's exactly what I did. I got to see the fruits of that, or the meat of that, and to change things. What's crazy, I know we're talking about the 90-day review, but just 2 weeks ago, I just surpassed my 1,000th day on carnivore. Guys, that is a huge moment in my life. I've been able to stay consistent for 1,000 days on the carnivore lifestyle. Not to say I haven't failed, but I didn't let it stop me there. I picked back up and I kept going. And boy, has my life changed forever. In 90 days, I lost 64 pounds, but more importantly, I've gained energy, confidence, and more of a new life. Most shirts that I owned were 3X, and the 2X that I had, they were starting to become loose. I remember purchasing my 4 extra big shirt when I was hitting that 399 pound mark. But now, hitting that 64 pound weight loss from that 370, I was able to see how clothes fit on at a normal store again. I don't remember the last time that I did that. It was always the big and tall section. I had to go buy a new wardrobe, for crying out loud. And I'm so cheap, I can't stand it. I like to buy my clothes at Sam's Club or Costco's. That's actually what I'm wearing right now. But I had to go buy a new wardrobe because I was no longer fitting in anything. With losing the weight, needing to buy new clothes, I noticed my metabolism was kicking back in. I did start taking an iodine supplement, and I'll share that right here. Here's a picture of it, but I'll also post a link of it within the description so you can see what it is. And I'll also share the video of Dr. Ken Berry, because the element iodine really helps control your metabolism and helps repair the cells that are trying to work in that. I'm not even going to pretend that I know all the medical science behind iodine, but I've seen the changes that have helped me stay on track and my metabolism keep up. And so I encourage you to check out his video to see what he says and see the actual science behind iodine. But the stretch wasn't easy. In the middle of all this progress, I started a new position at my church. And I don't know if you know ministry at all, but stepping into it, your life is just thrown up into like throwing a deck of cards into the air. And there were new stresses, new routines, and convenience would have been easy to go to. But I knew that I had to stay on track if I wanted to continue on this new life that I had found. But I learned that discipline and motivation beats convenience every time. I kept showing up one meal, one day, and one exercise at a time. I was able to see that new life further and further. Here's where the shock really hit. When the weight started dropping fast and it was noticeable in my body composition, people started to worry. People would ask me, "Hey, are you sick? Is there something wrong? Like, are you terminally ill? Like what is the dramatic weight loss?" But when I would explain to them, I'm simply just eating animals and animal products. And they were like, "No, there's no way that can be healthy for you." And they had so much to say. But as I said earlier, when I was gorging myself with sweets, overeating at every single meal, no one had anything to say. The only one who would really ever speak up would be my wife, and that was just to encourage me to do what was right. But now that I'm getting hold of my health, people have something to say. And so I had to show them that I wasn't sick, I wasn't crazy. I simply was just living a lifestyle that was worth living, not just dragging along for. My first big challenge, it came in the form of Easter. Yeah, Easter. Because one of the biggest candy holidays, aside from Halloween, I had to avoid all candies. I had to figure out about Easter lunch, because it would be rolls, it would be all of these carb-rich foods, mashed potatoes, macaroni, fried okra, fried chicken. I mean, I could sit here and tell you a list of things that we've had over the years that I would just sit down, eat till I was miserable, take a nap, wake up and eat some more. But I had to take control. I took over the cooking this year in 2023. Instead of me giving in to what could potentially be foods that would make me stumble again, I helped bring a brisket, I helped bring a ham, I helped bring some ribs, and all of those things I got to control what was being put into it. I got to control the ingredients and to cook it to where it was still phenomenal to eat, but also something that I could maintain myself on the carnivore diet. And guess what? Everyone loved it. They were blown away at how good it was, but yet I told them, hey, this is part of what I can eat, and you can do it too if you wanted to. That weekend before Easter was my son's birthday, and we had family in town, family from Texas that hadn't seen me yet, and they were blown away. I got to share with my brother, if you remember from the day one video, the story of how we were both turned down from giving a kidney to my mother. We had both struggled with obesity for most of our lives. And now I got to show him what freedom from that was like. We got to sit down and talk through things, because he had only received texts from me. He had received some encouragement, some videos from Dr. Berry, Kelly Hogan, just different personalities, Laura Spath, all these different personalities that I'd watched. I would just nudge him and forward him to him. But now he got to see what that actually looked like. He got to see me 64 pounds less, and to see a new version of me, not one that is written off by starving myself or over exercising or taking some miracle drug. It was simply eating animal and animal products. And what's so crazy is through sharing that journey with him, he would eventually start on the carnivore diet and would drop a crazy amount of weight. And I'm sure you'll see him at some point in our journey. So if you're watching this around the holidays, I want to talk to you. Maybe you're like Jordan, who gives in at those moments all the time. I want to say, as today in between Halloween and Thanksgiving, as we prepare for these holidays, I still have to keep myself in check, because at any point in time when we get to Thanksgiving and that honey glazed ham and that granny's dressing in which I prepare is there, I have to be careful not to fall into that, because all of the work that I put in with the carnivore diet, I don't want to roll all that back just to give in just for a simple moment of pleasure in food. I'd rather find the pleasure in my life and getting to live years and years with my family and getting to lead them and love them and care for them. And so if you're starting today, if you're starting right before a holiday, I want to encourage you. You can do this, but you have to make the choice right there. Is it a moment of happiness, or is it a lifetime of happiness? The choice is yours. But even then, say we're talking the day after Thanksgiving, the day after Easter, the day after Memorial Day, for crying out loud, and you failed. Start over again today. You can do it. You can see the results that I did. Even after we failed. I failed so many times, even in the midst of between the 60 and 90 days, I guarantee you there was a moment that I stumbled, but I had to correct course to make sure that I was living the life that I wanted to live. If I wanted to live a life at all, because I was reaching a point at my heaviest that my body was rejecting every aspect of myself. Physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. But now I got to take control. I got to see what that was. But maybe you don't get to have control of the meal that you get to have with your family. Prepare stuff and take it ahead of time. Be ready. Be armed. Be dangerous. Be out of the social norms. When people are just eating a platter of crackers and all these different adult Lunchables of charcuterie, you can still partake in that, but don't eat the crackers and the nuts and all these different carbs that are in that. Just eat the meats. Eat a little bit of the cheese. Indulge in that, but don't quit just because of the life that is happening around you. It will always be happening around you. You can choose if you want to take control, because it may not be a weight thing. It may be an inflammation thing and a feeling miserable thing, but you can do it. I encourage you to. Before I wrap up, I'd love to hear from you. What is the biggest thing that scares you when it comes to a holiday? Is it a meal? Is it the social awkwardness? Is it people asking what the change is about you? For me, I used to just hate going to things sometimes because I didn't want to sit there and explain the carnivore lifestyle. But now I love it. I love getting to watch people look at me of, this dude's crazy, when he see me put a bunch of salt on my steak. And I love getting to share my story. I love getting to show people of, hey, this isn't just some fad thing. This is a lifestyle. This is a true diet change of bringing myself from the sad diet to what I truly should be eating and what my body allows me and welcomes rather than rejects and leaves me miserable. So drop it in the comments. What is your biggest fear when it comes to a holiday gathering or a social event? So this has been 90 days of real life and real results. Not perfection, but progress. If this video has helped encourage you, hit like and share it with someone. I hope you'll stick around and see what happens in my day 120 to see how things are getting even more hectic and weight still falling off, and how my health is getting more under control. So until next time, go forth and carnivore. Bye guys.